Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. So, today we are going to discuss lecture number 4 and topic 5 of AAA past paper. The topic which we will cover is no compliance with laws and regulations past paper questions. There are two past paper questions on this topic non compliance with laws and regulation. This lecture will also be uploaded on this YouTube channel. If you can see, I have already uploaded 3 past paper lecture on topic wise. Let's move to the content. So this is today's topic non-compliance with laws and regulation. It's ISA 250. So we are going to solve 2 past paper questions. Okay, one thing I was noticed that most of the students didn't value the free things. They think that if anything is free, it means it's not worthy. Trust me, there is not a single topic or not a single past paper questions which I will not cover. In my AAA lecture series, I have covered everything. If there is something which is not in your syllabus, but which I think it's important for your exam, so I've already covered that topic also. And now in the past paper series, I will try my best to cover all the past paper questions which have been tested till now on every topic. So on this topic, there are 2 past paper questions. If any past paper question is not covered in my past paper series, it means that questions have already been covered in my AAA lecture series, which you can also find on my ACCA PassPoint YouTube channel. Now, there are 2 past paper questions that's company December 13 question 3B. These questions I have already solved in my AAA lecture series block 1 topic 5 NOCLAR. So you can cover this question from my lecture. Now, question 2 Adder group June 15 question 2B. This will be covered in today's lecture. Now, question 2B Adder group, first read the requirement. Discuss the implications of the audit senior's note for the completion of the audit, commenting on the auditor's responsibility in relation to laws and regulations and on any ethical matters arising. Means first you have to discuss the implication, then you have to comment on the auditor's responsibility in relation to NOCLAR and any ethical matters if there is any. Let's read. The Adder Group, the group has been an audit client of your firm for several years. Keep in mind, this is the existing client. You have recently been assigned to act as audit manager, replacing a manager who has fallen ill. Means previously there was another manager, now you are working as a manager on the audit of Adder Group. Why? Because the previous manager is ill. And the audit of the group financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2015 is underway. Means audit is ongoing. The group's activities include property management and the provision of large storage facilities in warehouses owned by the group. Whenever the nature of the entity's business is mentioned by the examiner in your question, this is very important for your materiality perspective as well as for your risk question. From the risk perspective, we will cover once we move to the lecture of block 3 past papers. Now, why this is important for the materiality? Because if your client is a capital extensive nature, means if your client business is capital extensive, means they have high value property, plant and equipment such as non-current assets, then you will calculate the materiality based on total assets. But if your client is a labor intensive industry, then you will calculate the materiality based on PBT or total revenue. Now, in this case, we will calculate the materiality based on total assets. There is another part A which we will cover in the block 3 lecture. The part A belongs to sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now, part B. The audit senior also left the following note for your attention. I have been working on the audit of properties, including the group's storage facility warehouses. Customers rent individual self contained storage areas of a warehouse for which they are given keys allowing access by the customer at any time. The group's employees rarely enter the customer's storage areas. It seems the group's policy for storage contracts which generate revenue of less than £10,000 is that very little documentation is required. Means very less documentation, no proper documentation. And the nature of the items being stored is not always known. Means there is no check on the items being stored. Means it is easy to move the items here and there. While visiting one of the group's warehouse, the door to one of the customers' storage areas was open. It means the storage area was open at that time. So I looked in and saw what appeared to be potentially hazardous chemical. Audit senior is specifying that while I was on a visit, I saw a storage area was open, and once I start looking for it, there was a dangerous chemical stored in large metal drums marked with warning signs, means cross sign. I asked the warehouse manager about the items being stored and he became very aggressive. Highlight this word, became very aggressive, refusing to allow me to ask other employees about the matter. The warehouse manager suddenly aggressive and told the audit senior not to ask such thing from me, also refusing to allow me to ask other employees about the matter, and threatening me if I alerted management to the storage of these items. I did not mention the matter to anyone else at the client. Also, the warehouse manager aggressive and threatened the audit senior. Now, if you get the idea, you will start understanding or identifying, or your mind will give you the hints that there is something about the integrity issues. There is something about the intimidation threat. If the manager or the client threaten the audit team or audit senior, then it results in an intimidation threat. If you cover my lecture on block 2, then you will recall such things. Now, how to write the answer? First, you will write the heading for implications. As the audit senior, on visiting the sites, noticed that the door of one of the warehouses opened, and while checking, he found that there were dangerous chemicals, due to which no employees of Adder's group were allowed to visit. Upon asking the warehouse manager, his actions were harsh, which indicates that the other warehouses also include the same chemical. So audit senior should re-evaluate the integrity of the adders group for the next financial year and increase the sample size to perform further audit procedures to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Because without SAAE, sufficient appropriate audit evidence, we can't rely on the management. Now, responsibilities. Audit seniors should maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit to ensure that there are no instances of non-compliance with laws and regulations. In relation to the adders group storage facility provided to the customers, and should take strict action against any non-compliance. It means auditor is not only work for the shareholder. If you cover my lecture 2 of block 1, auditors professional liability, in which we have studied that auditor is also responsible for the best interest of general public. Liability in tort means auditor have to work due diligently with due care. Now, if there is something which can affect the environment or which can affect the general public, then of course auditor will have to be skeptical about that issues. So this is all about the non-compliance with laws and regulations. Now, audit senior should review the gate passes to confirm the nature and quantity of the chemicals, and physically inspect other warehouses to confirm whether they have such chemicals or not. Discuss with management about such chemicals to ensure whether management has any clue regarding it, and communicate with the legal advisor whether the aiders group has any known compliance previously, means whether aider group has faced any known compliance in the past. Also inspect the minutes of board meetings to confirm the stance of the directors. Correspondence with the customers regarding the storage facility and the amount of rent adders group charges, as the group's policy is to generate revenue of less than 10,000. Look how I use the case specific word from the question. If the matter remains unresolved and no appropriate evidence is available, then the auditor should communicate to a regulator. So now the question is, you guys can have a question how to write such answer, how to write an effective answer. There is only two things. The first thing is cover the AAA lectures, then read the content. Cover the lectures, read the content. Cover the lectures, read the content. Once you done both the things, then you can jump to the past paper questions. Now, the last thing is ethical issues. The warehouse manager got aggressive and threatened the audit senior upon discussing it with other employees or managers, creating an intimidation threat. Also, failure to communicate with regulator after being aware of such things may cause heavy fines and penalties. Whenever there is a requirement about ethical issues, I would highly recommend you to also mention the safeguards, means actions that can remove or reduce this threat. In this question, I have not written down the safeguard. The reason is I will cover complete questions of ethical issues once we move to the past paper lectures of block 2. So this is my recommendation for you. I will also highlight this thing once we move to the past paper questions of lecture of block 2. So whenever the examiner asks you about the ethical issues, you will also have to write about the safeguards, either the examiner asked or not. So that's it for today's lecture on the past paper question of non-compliance with laws and regulations. If you have still any doubt or any queries, or if you are lacking in any concept, you can also connect with me on WhatsApp, or you can comment down below the video. I will respond your queries. Take care.